Baseball in the Boroughs is brought to you by Verizon. With my plan, get exactly what you want and only pay for what you need. Pete Alonso hit his third home run in his last 5 at-bats, but it wasn't good enough to push the Mets past the Cubs. So let's talk some Mets baseball with the New York Post's Dan Martin for our latest edition of Baseball in the Boroughs. Dan, no real reason to kind of rehash and recap last night. Let's kind of look forward or look ahead when it comes to this team. I know Pete Alonso did homer again last night, but looking forward, he's going to be a free agent after the end of next season. Now that he's playing like Polar Bear Pete again, do you think the Mets try to extend him in the offseason? And what do you think those numbers could look like?
Well, Brandon, they've got to have some discussions about what next year looks like with the payroll and how much they're going to go for it after Steve Cohen and Billy Epler talked about maybe taking a step back in free agency this offseason after they spent wildly the last two. So, yeah, I'm sure Alonso and his representatives want to, get some clarity about just what 25 and 26 are going to look like and how much the Mets are going to spend before he makes any decisions. But, certainly he's comfortable here. He's talked about loving playing in New York and being a Met. So if they approached him with a long-term deal, I'm sure he'd listen as long as it made sense. The numbers being floated around now, I think 8 years, $200 million maybe is a starting point or something that you could start a conversation with. And he's having another standout year, like you mentioned. He's out of his slump, showing the home run stroke that he's had for much of his career. So that's one of many decisions that they have to make, not just for next year, but for the direction of the franchise for the foreseeable future. Now that they've kind of swung and missed it this past year and the free agency for the past 2 years, really, with Scherzer and Verlander and guys like that.
Yeah, he's definitely been a stable bat for this team over the last couple of years. And he's a fan favorite. He's someone that people in Queens wants to stay in Queens and stay on this team. Let's talk about the pitching. David Peterson is on the mound tonight. He pitched 3 innings and 52 pitches in his most recent start, and that was last Friday. So you think he has the juice to go longer than 3, and what's it going to take for him to come out with a win tonight?
The plan is for him to go longer than 3 innings. He was, kind of limited the last time out because he'd been in the bullpen for a while with the pitching machinations that they've had for the past month or so as their roster has been in upheaval, and that's why he's back in the rotation, because they traded Scherzer and Verlander and guys like that. So, they want to take a look at what they have in Peterson. He took kind of a step back earlier this year after showing some promise last season. So I think he's someone who's in their future regardless, but they still have to figure out, is he a starter? Is he a reliever? Can he succeed at the major league level? And because of where they are in the standings and how poorly the season has gone, this is what the last 6 or 7 weeks of the regular season is left with, that they're going to look at some of their young guys, see what they have, and determine when they go into this offseason how many pitchers do they need, and is Peterson and a guy like Tyler McGill someone they can build on, or is he just a space filler until they get somebody better? And I think that's unfortunately what the Mets are going to be looking at with a lot of different positions for the rest of the way.
Yeah, huge opportunity tonight for him to be able to stay in this rotation. And it's a huge opportunity for this team tonight to get a win. So I'm asking you, how important is a win tonight for this Mets team before the Atlanta series kicks off on Friday?
I think, the perspective is different now. It's important for them to get a win, not to get back into the wild card race or anything like that. That dream has died. But, they've lost 7 of 8. They had lost 6 in a row after the trade deadline. What you don't want is for this to kind of spiral out of control. They've still got some young guys that are adjusting to the major league level, and you don't want their first experience at this level to be miserable, and to get used to losing at this rate. So, they just need to kind of stabilize things. You talked about Alonso before being a stabilizing force in the lineup. They need more of that from guys like Jeff McNeil, the veteran presence guys, that they can at least tread water for the rest of the way, because it could get very ugly for the last 6 weeks of the season with the way the roster is and the way they've been playing lately. You just don't want – this is going to be a bad season no matter what happens. 2023 is going to be not a season to forget for a lot of reasons, but you don't want it to get out of control and just have guys be miserable and losing every day and getting used to that. So in that respect, it's important for them to win tonight just to kind of change the momentum of the way things are going.
Yeah, every game's a big game from here on out. They're at Citi Field tonight again against the Cubs at 7:10 p.m. Dan Martin, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brandon.